Greetings and welcome to the Occult Think Tank. My name is Greg. In today's program, I'm going to be doing two things. First, I'm going to be talking about this idea of spiritual and how, to me, this is a term that has absolutely no meaning. The second, I'm going to be talking about the Esword Bible and some of the Bibles that you can get for that. But first things first, this idea of spiritual. Throughout my life, I've heard many people say that they aren't religious, they're spiritual. Which I know that is supposed to draw a distinction between those that really go by the Bible and try to act like they believed that, even though the majority of them have actually never read the damn book they claim to base their life on. And I think people started using this term spiritual with really the birth of the New Age movement, that people want to try and act as if they're spiritual, but when you try to nail them down on what exactly they mean, the answers are really vague. And even if you do a search for images on spiritual, what you get is crap like this. But this picture is mostly, other than like fractal type of light images, it is the human body. Because then there's also this shit, which at the center of that makes me think of sacred geometry and things like the flower of life, and I can go into sacred geometry in another video, but all of this, it seems to be an energy type of thing that they're trying to say they believe in. The problem with energy is the human body runs on energy. We need to eat in order to have the energy to run the body, in order to maintain life. Just like all electronic devices like cell phones and even my computer, and all electronics require energy to operate. Without energy going into the device or stored in power cells, the device can't operate. Human body's the same way. The thing is, just because something requires energy does not mean that that energy has a consciousness. One could even argue, do animals have consciousness? Are they consciously aware of their own existence? I don't know. I know when I start doing a video, my cat, Angel, will come over and start to coo, which sometime when I'm on camera, no doubt you guys are going to see my little black angel. The thing is, just because something has the need for energy in order to function does not mean that the energy that it requires to function has some kind of consciousness, or that energy itself can have any kind of mind or brain. And that is where, at least from where I'm looking at this, because I look at things from a factual what can I prove basis, I see no reason to regard this spiritual as anything other than a religious term. Because if you're going by the ideas of a book, be it the Bible or whatnot, you're religious. You're going by ideas from a religion. Even if you use the term spiritual, if what you are buying into is based on ideas from a religious text, you are religious. This idea of being spiritual, it is a way to try and shift the goalposts, a way to try and conceal what you actually believe, which, if a God would exist, I dare say it would regard that as dishonest. And that is where I have issues with this notion of spirituality and being spiritual. But as you can see, I have personally the lighter type of imagery does not really appeal to me. I'm more drawn to, and I always have been, more drawn to what would be termed darker imagery. That is, like, my favorite characters in fiction are largely what are termed the evil character, the bad guy. Be it Darth Vader, Pinhead, Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, so forth. To me, they have the better lines, as long as they're bright enough to talk, unlike Jason, that is too stupid to talk. But the aspect of fictional characters is another, because I regard the Bible, Jesus, God, they're fictional characters. They don't have any basis in reality. And you can enjoy a fiction story all you want. I'm not going to sit and tell somebody that, like, my ex enjoyed the show Supernatural. I tried watching it, and I could not watch that program without going bullshit over and over again. It got to where I just went up to my computer and let her watch that stupid shit because I wasn't able to stomach it. That's why when I found the show Lucifer, I wasn't sure if I would be able to stomach that, but actually that was one that I enjoyed. The thing is, just because you enjoy a fictional story and even like a fictional character in that story, you can't say you have a relationship with that fictional character. It's a fictional character. If you think you have a relationship with a fictional character, get your head checked. There's something not right in your brain. By the same token, or even worse, if you think you have a personal relationship with a fictional character, definitely seek psychiatric help, because something is not right in your brain. You can't have a personal relationship with something that you can't personally interact with. That's part of why it's called a personal relationship. But for those watching the video, this picture is one that I am contemplating using with the Occult Think Tank, because I had found this and removed the centerpiece, and I had the thought of inserting the logo that I have for the Occult Think Tank You guys can let me know what you think. Like I said, the darker imagery does appeal to me. That's just a personal, but it also fits with the theme of the occult think tank. But just because you like a fictional character or a fictional story, that doesn't mean that that fictional story is in some way true. Excuse me. Or if you could meet a fictional character in real life and interact with it, that just because you like the character in the story, that doesn't mean if you would actually get to meet that person that you would necessarily like them. The only way I can see that happening would be in the aspect of meeting an actor that's playing a particular role. But there are certain actors that when they take on a role, they really make it their own. Like, I'm a Star Trek fan, and the character of Data, Brett Spiner, nailed it. There's no one else that could really do that character and have it work. Just like the character of Q. John Delancey made that really, he embodied what Q became. And the thing is, that is where, just because you like an actor in a movie, if you meet that actor, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like them. And that is where sometimes fantasy is better than reality. That when you meet an object of fantasy, the illusion is lost. And this is the way I regard basically anything what would be termed spiritual or whatnot. It's all about people trying to make whatever bullshit they want to believe in valid because they like the story. Now, here is the Esword, and you'll notice that there's been a bit of a modification to my Esword, and I do want to explain what I did with this, which brings in let me try to okay, I'm gonna have to do this again because what I had captured is not showing up. So there it is. Above what you see at the top, there is file, Bible, commentary, dictionary, tools, options, download, window, help. At the window section, which is where that cursor is that you see on the screen, when you hit that, it can pull up this, which can show you the various Bibles that you can download for the Esword. And as you can see, there is a shit ton, far more that is in red than blue. And the things that are in red, you cannot download. It is only the stuff that is blue that you can download. And it's really, the things that are black are things that I have. downloaded, like this EMTV version. It does say installed, and the red you can't. But there is an info aspect that it'll give you information on that particular version, but you can't download it. At one time, on a different version of the Esword, I did have the JPS, this version here, but I can't get it on now with the version that I have, even though it says public domain and so forth. I don't understand why, but it is what it is. And I'm going to be showing you like this version, and it's crap, just so you know. I had also downloaded the King James 1611, and that too largely is crap. There is, I think it's the two versions. Yeah, these have the Apocrypha in it, at least some of it, that I may cover in a future video. I don't know. But there are different things in here that you can, okay, it will show you that you can download. No, you can't. That's where it has dictionaries. Every single one of them is in red. Commentaries, I had downloaded that one, but as you can see, and even that one, but as you can see, the rest of it is nada. Can't do shit. Now, I wouldn't give two shits about devotions, but wouldn't matter because you can't download them. Now, graphics, you could, theoretically, but that would be like a NASA satellite image. Okay, fine. If that would be what you're interested in, there's also reference books, but once again, the vast majority of that is in red. There's only one that I see in blue that I would regard as bullshit, but the Christian faith, you guys can tell me in the comments section if you would want me to download that and review it and give basically my opinion on it. Now, okay, let me just remove that. Okay, but what you see here, there is the EMT version, but that is only the New Testament. Any other will be unavailable. So EMT is only the New Testament. Then there is this one that also has along the side that you can see that there are these ones in blue, which are the Apocrypha. But there are problems with that as well, because if you try going to the third one, nothing. And that's down in all the way, every chapter to 7, and same with the 4th, all the way down, unavailable. There is also the prayer of Manasseh. Nope. Now the wisdom one, that appears to work just like that one does. I know with the Apocrypha there was one called Bella and the Dragon, but I don't see that in this. I don't know right now if that is what this is. I'm not totally sure. But there's the first Ezra, no. Second Ezra, no. Tobit, yes. Judith, yes. And then Maccabees 1 and 2. The Apocrypha, it seems to be hit or miss. But you'll also notice, and I do want to enlarge this so all of you can see it, there's a bit of weirdness with what would be the English. As you can see, that is, if that's English, that's not an English I'm familiar with. There's also a switch that is made with what looks like U's and V's. Like this would be supposed to be river, but it's R-I-U-E-R instead of R-I-V-E-R. I don't know if that is the Old English, just like this VNTO should really be, to my brain, UNTO. But that is a common. There's also the older English way of spelling things like dishonor, where they had a U shoved in. I don't know. And also here, instead of a J, it's an I. I don't know if that is a matter of older English, because the same thing is present, I think, with the King James 1611. It isn't as bad because they have the until with the U there, but it also here has the VNTO as well, just like, I don't know if that is supposed to be he with an extra E, and some of this is really, really bizarre. But one of the things when I was going through this, I wanted to look up and see regarding, like, with that rapture thing that I had covered in the last video. This does not have the asleep, but it really nails what the subject is. Now, we do not want you to be uninformed, brethren, concerning them which have died, lest you be sorrowful as those who have no hope, which, again, that would be the atheist like me. To this shit, they would see it as I have no hope, which, that's a crock of shit in and of itself. But I don't have fantasies of living after I'm dead. No, after I'm dead, I'm done. That's what death means. But this really establishes that what is being talked about and what was believed at the time this was written was this was about where are the dead, not some you're going to be whisked off like Peter fucking Pan. But I also wanted to check, and I thought it was interesting that when I came over to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 11, unlike in the King James that had that they should believe a lie, that this God sending them strong delusion. Over here it says God will send them strong delusion in order for them to believe a lie, which really establishes that it is the plan of the God that people will believe a lie. Which, and the next line really makes no sense. It wouldn't be about, in a sense, not believing the truth, but not knowing what the truth is. And I would contend people could say they didn't know what the truth is because this God did things in order for them to believe a lie. If a God, which is a magical fucking being, is going to do things and set things up in such a way in order for them to believe a lie, how can it turn around and be pissed off for those who didn't believe the quote-unquote truth? And the aspect of delighted in unrighteousness based on what? Based on not being able to determine what was true versus what was the lie that you sent in order for people to believe? It really seems counterproductive. But this is where different commentaries or different Bibles can really show the problem that exists with these man-made writings, because that's really what this comes down to. Now, it gets problematic when you bring in this other one, because there is this shit. The issue with the U's and the V's is going on even in this. It's all through that version of the Bible. So I'm going to be looking in the program for, I downloaded it, but can I remove it? Basically, so that this version is no longer in the eSword. Because it's just like the 1611. Yes, they have features like this crap that I'll probably keep one just for if I'm going to go over this, but covering this would be problematic for me because I would want to be able to explain not only what is being talked about, but I'd also have to cover the stupid way shit is spelled, and to try and get at, if I could, figure out what the hell they're trying to convey. Because if you do, and this is part of the problem with if you do not know what something means, which can go back to but this is also another that I had noted, and okay, it's not in the EMT version, but yeah, it is in both of those versions. Okay, no, it is this Geneva version that it has, but the tree of the knowledge of good, and I'm assuming that's supposed to be evil. Thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day thou eatest thereof, thou shalt die the death. which is a really bizarre way of phrasing that. And I figured I'd also check that where the serpent said, and it's instead of you shall not die at all. And in regard to eating of that tree, that is accurate. They didn't die at all. It doesn't have here, you'll be immortal. And this is the same thing, just you can see it is, evil is not spelled as we look at it. Eat has an extra E. But other than that, meat has an extra E. New has an extra E. I don't know if this is a matter of how English used to be. I don't know. But I did scroll down, and that is essentially saying the same thing. It's just the letters are really goofy to my eyes. That's where I would almost need to cross-reference to something like this that I can actually clearly read. And this is the King James Version. But what I wanted to show was this aspect of, because it's really bizarre, and I don't know what to make of thou shalt die the death. I'm sure there are probably other things in this version, this Bible version, that really... Now I am curious as hell. Wait a minute. Because this seemed to, it caught my eye that something was not right. And when I switch over to the KJV, yes, it is a very different word. Ethiopia, or Cush. I've never heard Ethiopia called Cush. And given it has that one spelled the same, and even that one. But Ethiopia, it has as Cush. I don't know. But that is where some of the other commentaries can be something that is interesting, but for the most part, I would just stick with the KJV, with maybe going into the EMT when I'm in the New Testament if I'd want to see. I guess the way to put it would be an even more modern way of phrasing. But I'd be curious what your thoughts are on these other versions, and if you would like, because I think it would be harder to go through this type of shit, or even this one, where instead of just the straight up King James Version, or maybe even this version. But you can feel free to leave your thoughts and comments on it in the comments section. Talk to you later, people.